Wow. Hello there, everybody. Man, I had to finish that chorus out, with Bridge Over Troubled Waters. I mean, wow. Yeah, that's all I got to say. That'll get you going no matter what. Little Simon and Garfunkel. Gotta love it. And you gotta love this place. Really cool people here. Pretty groovy. There I am. Steiger, you're looking good, dude. Yeah, I know it. I know it. It's like I own it, walk it every day. That's what they say. All right. So, how is everybody? Hello, everybody in the chat room. Good to see y'all. It was a fabulous weekend, but you know, got to give the soul a rest. Hmm. Does a soul need rest? I don't know. Does a spirit need rest? I don't know. We'll talk about that. But anyway, so hope you had a great time and fall is on its way. Yes, because I've had enough of this and I don't know about y'all, but I don't mind warm weather. I don't like hot weather, particularly with humidity. Anyway, I digress. Actually, I don't because I know exactly where I'm going. So get on the bus, uh, have a seat, yeah, make it a treat, and here we go. Speaking favor over us all before we pull out onto the highway, that celestial highway. Um, Nothing missing, nothing broken, and please be kind to your mind. Hello, Scotty boy. I seen you. You said, yeah, been in worse places. uh, Depending on how you look at the theory, Scotty, it's like apparently we have been in a very scary place. This is a scary place, isn't it? And to think that this all may be designed to trap us. That sucks. I enjoyed Mark Smith. That was a good, we're going to have him back on. And what a delightful soul. That's all I got to say. And Colleen, I agree with you. Alan Watts, if you ever just want to get to that happy place, you know, where there is this convergence of mind, soul, body, however you want to define it. Alan will take you there. That's a fact. Just, yeah, love the man. So, hello, Blazing River. How are you doing? Yes, this is the trap. We're going to be talking about this. It's amazing how, by now I just recognize where it's coming from because they got something they want to say to us. And I don't believe in coincidences, particularly when the coincidences become the coincidences. Someone is talking and, means that we should give a listen to. And it's this whole idea that no matter what your religion is, no matter what your political position is, no matter what your position is in spirituality, philosophy, ideology, theology, doesn't matter. It's all designed to keep you, me, from remembering. Because if the doorway it can crack, oh, so it doesn't even need to let what's on the other side through all the way. It just needs a little crack. That's what it fears. And so we're going to be talking a lot about this today because it would appear that by all definition, and I revert back to 50 years of really strong indoctrination, and I had a lot of the world in there too. Very diverse cultures, ideas, philosophies, religious points of view. And by all indication, it would appear that we're trapped and we're doing our best to get out of here, to get back to where we came from. There is also the idea that there are those who walk among us who appear in our life's course that are actually, they transcend both realms. And both realms are meant to be seen. See, that's part of the trap. If you believe that you can't see the spirit realm, if you believe that there is this gap, this chasm, this veil that prevents you from seeing the other side, that's part of the trap. If you're here, then you were meant to be able to see on the other side. Now, a lot of times that comes in the form of, clairvoyance. Um, you could just go down the different modalities, sixth sense, you know, a channeler. We're all channelers. I never realized, but I'm really fucking good at it. Apparently. And many of y'all are, and we can get a lot freaking better, but we're held up by these beliefs. Just looking in the chat room, you can see the diversity of opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's cool. Um, because if I can gain insight from your experience, your point of view, then I can add it to mine, which just makes me that much better in a sense. Because in my former religion, it teaches, and I got Alan Watts to back me up on this. Within these religions, you, me, we are the walking dead, the living dead. If you follow the script, the narrative, part of that fall, if you believe the narrative, we're just going to use it for discussion. So the fall of humanity was just that. We fell from life. We fell into the death realm. And this is a weird freaking place. It's not our natural habitat. It's not where we came from. This reality is not supposed to be happening. That's the problem. And whoever created this realm, or whatever has aided to create this realm, and I think that's what we do, we're the dreamers. We create the things here. There are also those others who create, but for us. So if you follow the narrative, the whole idea of the Jesus story, the Buddha story, all the rest of them, the enlightened ones, was to try to get you to wake up. You're dead. You've been dead. You were born dead. You'll die, hopefully, into life. Because this realm, no matter how you look at it, everything is dead here. Your very existence in this death realm requires and demands that you eat dead things in order to live here. We, in essence, are eating our ancestors. How many humans have preceded us before we've gotten in here? And if you bury a body into the ground, eventually its very essence goes back into the ground. And if you're growing something on top of that dead body, it will nourish the plant, give the plant minerals, vitamins, things that the plant normally would not get, and then you get a freaking bumper crop off of that. And so when you consume that, whether you're a vegetarian or a carnivore, doesn't matter. You're eating the dead. You have to eat the dead. Now, I don't know how a living being can exist here if it has to eat death. You explain that to me. How does that work? And the whole idea of Jesus was to get you to be born again. Well, born again into what? New life. You see the narrative. All religions have that. All cults have that. All political parties have that. You know, they want you to be this party. They want you to be that. You're being born again into it. But the problem is everything here is death. All the religion, all the theology, all the philosophy, all the ideology, it's all death-based. And so if they don't teach us about life, how the hell do you expect a soul who is trapped to ever find its way back? When the very thing that it's reading that it believes to be holy, sanctified, set apart, is a deception. It's a soul trap. Every religion, if you look on the Western side of the culture, what is the religion about? It's about the winning of souls. Well, that's some weird freaking shit if you think about it. So what is that implying? Well, if you give your soul to whatever, rock and roll, there's nothing wrong with that. Then what is the soul? A bartering chip? And how does a dead being, the living dead, how does it get a soul? And if it's about the saving of your soul, what is it being saving from and being saved to? And then it gets into the fact, is the soul really something that we have here? Because if you follow the narrative, apparently the soul was given by this, it's, them, and the whole weird process, it says that it blew into the man, and the man became a living soul. Well, then that would imply that if you have a living soul, you have a dead soul. So is that what we really have here? We all have dead souls that we're looking for the soul to be born again? Oh, it gets even a little stranger than that, because not only are we already dead, but there's this weird, freaky belief thing out there, this theory, this hypothesis that says, well, there is yet a second death. Oh, like this one isn't enough. And that second death is like supposedly the real death. Barbara, I agree with you. Why are we the ones being held accountable? I wrote this weekend in a forum about that very thing. You know, it's like, wait a minute. So they screw up, meaning God, the gods, you know, they let us create them in our image, right? So they screw the pooch, they drop the football, but we're penalized. Oh yeah, sure. Now think about this. You see, because are you really serving a living God? How can a living God be the God of the living and the God of the dead? How does that work out? I don't know about you, but that seems like it's a monopoly here. You know? It's like there's only one side given here. I don't like that. And so I was discussing this thing about omnipotent, omnipresent, omnipotent. And I was trying to explain to this person, there is no God that knows everything. We got more than enough proof that this current God, this current thought form, egregore, it doesn't know what it's doing. I mean, It created something that wasn't there called light, supposedly, and it didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. And when other things screw up in its kingdom, it's never the one that's wrong because it knows everything. It's you. And if there is a God that is omnipotent, knows everything, then it's an insane God. Because what's its purpose? And if it knows everything, then free will is an illusion. You don't have free will. You have a very limited amount of choices. That ain't free will. And if a being knows everything, then your existence means nothing. Absolutely nothing. You and I are absolutely, it's nothing. Our lives don't matter for crap. It knows everything. It's got prophecy. You see, that is the trap of the soul. It's the trap in the death realm. You can't get out of that shit. Once you're in it, it just spirals completely out of control. So since we dream, are we held accountable for our dreams? Well, there is another hypothesis, Barbara, that says that when we dream, the possibility is that we may not be the dreamer at all. It may be a walk-in because you're asleep. Just one out there. What is someone else question, Wayne? Ultimately, you are saying that you don't like having younger generations since without birth and growing up, there would be no need for death and recycling. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not at all. I'm talking about on the individual basis. The cycle continues. So for each generation, right? I think the real question becomes, will the younger generations have a future at all? That's a totally debatable thing. But again, the birth idea is an illusion. Some believe that how we got here is that we were tricked. We saw this bright light, and apparently, as wherever we came from, we seem to be attracted to that. And, you know, you get sucked into this vortex. I did a couple of videos on the right of the birthright coming into this realm. Yeah, I saw your email, Dr. Hugh. Good music, eh? Free will. Sorry, I have my doubts because something above us can change. We don't have it. Free will is not about a choice. Because if you have a choice, if you have the free will, you should have the free will not to make a choice at all. Because if you're being presented a choice, who's the one presenting it? And why is it being presented to you? Why is it necessary that you make a choice? I don't know how you define free will within those parameters. I don't. Um, Jack says the false light concept. Well, and that's really what it was. Hello, Chloe. How are you? People and their assumptions of mind's eye perspective. Hey, Lost in Space, how are you? Rick, good to see you. Hello, Nina. Yeah. So, if not free will, what would you call it? Prison. I don't know how else you would want it. If you're being presented a choice, then why are you there being presented that choice? If you're truly a sovereign, sentient being with free choice, why would there be a choice at all? I'm just throwing it out there. Hello, Elderberry. Yeah, yeah. So there is, hello, Colleen. Good to see you. Tell it to me. Good to see you. I'll go back and read these comments. Kim says you can't make a choice within ego, only spirit. But Kim, the God of the Bible, how does it turn out for him? I mean, he cursed that which he created. He kills, murders that which he created. Is that not a choice? Because he didn't have to do that, right? It's a deep thing because you really begin to chew on this and you're going, but wait a minute. So there is an idea that goes out there is that there are a lot of souls, just few bodies. And that we live in a realm that was created by a non-existent human. I mean, is God human? Is Jesus human? See, Jesus could never have been human. By his very nature, he's a hybrid. He's an alien. That which gave birth to him was not of this earth. So is that what he was trying to say? Hey, I know a way out of here? No, no. Each one, everyone's got theirs. Make your own. Just what can I say? So supposedly on this plane that we are in, there are 7 planes to our reality. Now, again, this is a thought, a theory, an idea, a philosophy, a theology. Who knows? The universe is, to some, says that they have 7 planes or dimensions. 3 are ordinal or concrete, and 3 are cardinal or abstract, and 1 is neutral, which provides the connection. The most ordinal plane is the physical, our 3-dimensional earthly realm, which is concrete energy. Its position is mirrored by the most cardinal plane, the heavenly plane, which is abstract energy. The astral plane, which is concrete emotion, is the middle ordinal plane. It is mirrored in position by the middle cardinal plane, which emanates abstract emotion. The causal is the highest ordinal plane. It is mirrored in position by the lowest cardinal plane, the mental plane. Isn't that interesting? So then that was saying that, our thinking, hmm, maybe we're not as enlightened as we think. I just putting in my 2 cents worth. All right, so the mental plane is the lowest plane. That tells you something. This mirroring balances our universe. The higher planes participate in pure energy, love, and truth. Okay. As I wrote over the weekend, I've never met this God of love. I'd like to. I just don't see any evidence of it here. Let's see. The lower planes are about manifesting those ideas. The fulcrum of the balance is the neutral Akashic plane. It connects all the others through the Akashic or record keeping aspect of each plane, which feed into it. Now it's really interesting because I can go with that because see, I was taught, in fact, it's actually in the book of Malachi, that there is a specific being that records everything. I don't know what that being looks like because I can't fathom a being of that nature, that everything about nature and the fact that creation is not static, but it is dynamic, which would mean then you would need a record keeper. I can dig that. Um, there are the etheric and non-solid levels of the physical plane, both lower and higher in frequencies than our physical bodies. Some people with psychic or mediumistic gifts are able to perceive them. The fact that they can be physically, now here's the point. The fact that they can be physically seen by some humans indicates that they are part of the physical plane. So ghosts, angels, demons, gods, goddesses, they're as much a part of this physical plane as they are in the etheric plane, which means that if we in our natural state should be able to see them as our ancestors probably did, then who's keeping the blinders on and why? Do you think that humanity's course would change dramatically if every human could begin to see that spiritual realm? Granted, it'd probably drive a few over the edge, but they were already over the edge to begin with, right? So, but isn't that interesting? Most people cannot physically see what is non-physical, although we may translate our non-physical perceptions into physical images. The etheric substance, lower in vibration than the solid physical, connects it to the Tao. This is the realm of devas or nature spirits. It could also be called the lower physical plane. The etheric substance, higher in vibration than the solid physical, connects with the astral. So for me, that's not a problem. But see, I still got this thing in my head, Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance. That substance. That substance is what things are made out of. And if you can wrap your mind around that and begin to really pull that in, it's right there. I contend that the Bible is spell book. And if you look at it through esoteric eyes, you can learn shit, man. Stuff that will literally freak your ass out, turn you inside out. But it's a good thing. You take that esoteric knowledge and you become a realm builder. It may initially be only your realm, but you built it. Calling those things that be not as though they are. You learn to take, and it has to be done through the Spirit, that substance. And your mind will be the transformer of that substance. And once you get a grasp on this, you can take this substance and apply it to anything in your life. And you can speak changes. And this substance reacts to it. Now, the unseen world knows about this, but they have different laws, different rules. The substance doesn't quite work the same over there. I don't know everything, but I've just seen a little bit. But if you can take that substance that is a natural occurring potential element over there and bring it and pull it in here, which apparently we can do and we all do, it changes things. So, if that's true, then why can't I take this substance and break this trap? Because the way I look at it, reincarnation is a trap. I don't like the idea of reincarnation. I don't see the logic in reliving something over and over and over again. And if that's the only nature that a spirit has to learn, well, there's a flaw there. We learn by experience. I don't know if we learn by repetition. Maybe we do in some degree. But does that apply to the soul and the spirit as well? Does the spirit know everything? Is a spirit basically a blank disc? No. And when you begin to look at a lot of these role-playing games now that you can get online, you can get the virtual headsets, and this is literally realm creation. And if you ever read the manuals of these games, these forums, wow, there is some there's no doubt that there are spirits of another realm that are involved here because they're getting the human mind acclimated to what this reality that they want to bring in. And you've got two, three generations now that are firmly versed to this gaming world, this online virtual world, this virtual reality. And when you read it, that, for instance, in one I found, um, says the user can create realms and nearly anything within them. A realm can be anything from a territory to a world to a dimension to an entire plane of existence. Now, for my position, I think this is where the mystery schools have evolved to a certain degree. You're teaching humans about a realm that they see merely as a game, but it is as real as it can get. And why when they immerse themselves into this virtual world, the senses become locked into this virtual world. And I contend that this virtual reality, the headsets, the graphics, the flicker rate, all of this, there's no doubt in my mind that it is also occupied by entities. If I was a demigod, I would find the virtual world quite adaptable. I could begin to influence potentially millions of human beings. I can get access to their very soul because they give you access to it. It's part of the initiation, part of it is required. And they actually give you how to build dimensions. They teach you, for instance, it's a fool who thinks they can go out and create a complete dimension, all encompassing, all at once. No. You know how you create dimensions? You do what they call pocket dimension creation. You teach how to begin to create a dimension within the virtual world, because now you're in another realm. And now we begin to understand the secrets of the past. Do you know how to create a pocket dimension? I'm just asking. I found it mind-boggling to begin to see that you can literally get into these manuals, these player manuals. And so let me tell you how you can create a pocket dimension. The ability to create pocket dimensions is a subpower of the pocket dimension manipulation, variations of dimension creation, and universal creation. And it gets into pocket dimension is also known as pocket dimension fabrication, which leads into the firm foundation of manifestation, materialization, realization. Within the pocket dimension, you begin to develop pocket reality. This is a universe creation of fabrication and manifestation, which leads to the materialization in a player's real life to the full realization. Now, I'm no psychiatrist or psychotherapist, but my senses say, whoa, 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 wait a minute. If I'm speaking this and I can begin to see it created in the virtual realm, what do you think that's doing to their noodle on the inside? The user can create a pocket dimension, a small personal space, complete with its own environment or world in which the user has absolute control over its aspects. Now, once you're introduced to this, what will be your tendency when you come back out into the death realm? Because in this reality, it's hard. Living the death realm is difficult. There's sadness, there's grief, all of it. We all know it. Well, if that is true, then someone created that. Someone made that a part of this. Now you get back into the soul trap. Oh, so what's the purpose of our here? But let me just finish on this, because this gets really, really interesting in exactly how they teach you on this. The applications of building creations: a labyrinth, platform, room, dimensional imprisonment, dimensional storage, a personal void, creating a personal nothingness. Get this next one. Within the dimensional storage, you can store sealing. It's Sealing. Then you get the environment creation: atmosphere, ground, outer space, sky, personal domain creation, portal creation, door projection, reality creation, alternate reality creation, realm creation, imprisonment, realm creation. Within this imprisonment realm creation, there is what's called the non-existent realm. They teach on the aspect of space compression, territorial creation, time compression, void creation. That is, and I could go on and on and on. Wow. So when we get into the non-human narrative, what does that exactly mean? It's defined in the abstract as non-human narrative refers to the representation of events with participants of non-human entities. Now, the thing about this is it's no longer considered in the pseudosciences. Science is now beginning to embrace more and more of what was considered to be the woo-woo side, of the pseudosciences, and now they're bringing it into the inner fold. In fact, I'm quite surprised in the research that I'm doing how many universities are deep into this stuff. Yeah. And it appears that the academics, they have a closet group. It used to be in the mindset that if you were gay, you wouldn't display that in public, but that's changed. Well, in the disciplines of the academics, the intellectuals, many of them are in the closet about the fact that, yeah, you can't see it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. I mean, right now, you and I are having billions of neutrinos permeating our bodies, our very existence. How is it not leaving holes in us? Chew on that. All right, so let's continue. It entails 4 broad categories: narrative about natural things, such as animals, plants, hills, rocks, waters, and salt. The narrative about supernatural things, such as God, gods, goblins, angels, demons, monsters, right? The narrative about artificial objects, such as cloth, coins, chairs, ink, toys. Then you have the narrative about artificial humans. How does that make you feel? Are you really human? Prove it to me. Can you prove that you're actually a human? So now we got artificial humans such as AI, robots, clones, and machines. And now the machines are becoming self-learning machines. The non-human entities take on the roles of narrator, character, and focalizer in the narrative text and thus perform three functions, namely the telling, the acting, and the observing functions. And I can't help but not being drawn back to Genesis 6, when, the incursion took place. Because what does it say that these alien beings did? They taught. They taught man philosophy. They taught man sex. They taught man about yada, and it just goes on and on. Interesting, isn't it? An exploration of non-human narrative not only enriches the existing narrative theory, but also makes it more comprehensive and goes beyond the anthropocentrism. There's a word for you. Against the backdrop of the non-human term, it goes on to say that the purpose of the theory of non-human narrative and reconsidering human non-human relations so as to enlarge a larger organic sphere. Wow. I mean, just munch on that a little bit. Okay. So if we can bridge the gap between, let's say, the supernatural, which I would include to be the spiritual, and then we can embrace in essence what they're saying here is magic. Well, if I read this 500 years ago, I could have been, on the guillotine or on the rack. How dare you talk about the unseen? Well, that's only reserved for the realm of God and his chosen messengers. But wait a minute, what about the robots? Yeah, interesting. So on the trapped soul narrative, then, it would appear that if the possibility of that being reality, and if the reality is that we're actually dead, I mean, again, I don't see how a living entity, a living body, would be required to eat something dead in order to get its, existence, its substance. Maybe it's just me, but now if you were already dead, then to consume the dead would be a natural part of the process. Because one of the hardest things in this life, I bet you haven't considered this. One of the hardest things that you will have to do in this life is that you're going to have to figure out what you're going to eat every freaking day. Every day. And not once, not twice, but multiple times through the day. You're going to think about eating dead things. And what kind of dead thing are you going to be serving yourself, your family? Not really attractive, that light, is it? And then there is another theory to the trapped soul theory that says, well, not every soul is trapped. In fact, the percentage of trapped souls to the ones that, well, seem to go somewhere, it's like, where are all the dead people? Now, I'm truly diverting. I just took a wild turn right there, but it's a question we're going to get into this week. Where are all the dead people? If you look at the official records, why aren't cemeteries buying new land? I digress. I saw it, folks. Um, but now in this theory, um, it goes that there is a realm that some would call the in-between space where souls stay after their body passes in a tragic way or suddenly, and they have unfinished business here on earth. Well, the simple man of me, simple philosopher, um, I don't know if you can ever finish the business here. I mean, don't we all, wouldn't we all have still finished business? I don't know. But all right. But I get what the context is. All right. Now it goes on to say that these souls can be earthbound and come out of this realm and into a body that just experienced a near death or has died but revived. Move ins. Now, there is a lot out there about move-ins. Well, I don't think there's enough, to be candid with you, because when I was in the deliverance ministry, laying on of hands, the speaking of tongues, the invoking and binding of the demon, and yeah. So, and my indoctrination taught me that the human soul cannot be filled. I mean, if you look in the book of Mark and the man and the Decapolis, you know, he had a legion in him. Depending on what type of legion you're defining, that's at least 8,000 other spirits. That gets pretty freaking crowded. In fact, as I recall, the Bible warns in the New Testament that if I cast a demon out of a person and that person takes no effort, does nothing to change the condition that they had to begin with that allowed this move in, this demon. In fact, the Jesus character said that that demon will go to a waterless place. Now, the guy that taught me, Lester Summerall, his idea was that sounds like the moon. Moon apparently has no water anyway. And it says that when it comes back because it got homesick, you know, some of y'all make really good host bodies. Um, that it will bring 7 more eviler, stronger spirits with it. Well, that gets to be a nasty thing. Just imagine that. So anyway, I'm not saying that this is just another thought out there. Um, let's say you have 2 people who die at the same time. However, one of those 2 people has left their physical body and trapped in what this person said calls the in-between space. That soul can enter another person's body. This is often referred to as a walk-in. Other person's soul is literally pushed out of their body and roams the earth in the in-between space. Now, if there would be a hell, that would probably be the definition of a hell. Let me stop and think about that. You were in a car accident. Boom. Knocked your ass out. In fact, took your breath, everything else. And for that brief microsecond, you were out of your body. Well, remember what I said at the beginning, there's a lot of souls, but few bodies. So what this person is saying, that there is a belief, a thought, that then some other walk-in is going to take over. And that one bothers me to think that this is possible, because we all think that we own these bodies. Do you own your body? I mean, how can you own anything, right? Well, it personally seems to me, I think I do own it. If I don't take care of it, it's going to, break down. Yeah. And that's the other thing about in demonology, when a true demon takes possession of a human being, the reason why they freak out is that they have other senses that are not necessarily of the five senses that we have, the two electrical and three chemical. And that when they take possession of a body, they don't know how to deal with the overwhelming sensations that are coming in, and that causes the demon a lot of pain, a lot of torment, a lot of pleasure. It's just, yeah, pretty messed up when you think about it, but that's how they teach it. Um, The other soul that walked in or stepped in is now in full control of the body. This is something that does not frequently occur, but there are some instances where one soul is stronger and will fight to stay. Remember, souls are energy and need a human body as a vessel to exist. Hmm. So if that's the case, then I could see where the recycling tube would come in, meaning the reincarnation. Because if in fact that's how a soul exists, is by its manifestation within a body, but a spirit doesn't necessarily need the body, then that's that whole thing. Then is the spirit burdened with the soul? Remember, the offspring of the fallen angels, the Nephilim, was they cursed humanity because they inherited a half of a soul, and that this half of soul thing is a hybrid, and it causes them torment, and that's why they want to torment us. It's a wackadoodle world. Anyway, just saying for a friend. Yeah. And then this gets really deep into this whole thing about, the characteristics. Talks about many times in this battle that the walk-in is stronger and then begins to dominate the original owner, that then you have this blending of this stronger soul presence over the original owner. And yeah, and then that gets into some really freaky stuff, because there have been cases in near death experiences where the person coming back suddenly starts exhibiting unusual talents and abilities that they did not have prior. Don't ask me what happens when you're in a coma. I don't know. I don't remember anything. But that's now really interesting. It says when a soul walks in, they carry their memories, their mood, gestures, and personality. This can cause others to think that this person has amnesia or they are possessed by a demon, but in reality, this is a human soul kidnapping. Never really thought about it as that way. A soul kidnapping. I mean, think about it. All the religions talk about, winning souls. Well, if they're in the business of collecting souls, then they don't seem to be restrained over there. So why wouldn't they kidnap souls? A lot of these different cases that where I'm recalling as I'm thinking on this, and I'm going, holy crap. Huh. It says the longer that the other soul who originally belonged to the body is out of the body, the weaker they get. This can become war, and both souls are fighting for room in the same body. This person must exhibit signs of weakness, passing out, developing fevers, etc. Again, what case studies have shown is that this is not a common scenario. Those who also astral project out of their body and lose their way run their risk of staying in the in-between space. I think we could remember we read the book Ghostland. Yeah. It's a place where none of us want to go. That's a creepy place. And what's even creepier is that there's evidence that Ghostland really does exist. As maybe this. I mean, in my training, I know Paul wrote extensively in the occult. Of course, it's thought that Paul possessed the Liber Lilith as well. I don't know. But the way Paul writes tells me that I think he was in contact with something more than just Jesus. So this gets to be really, really strange. Wow. There are other cases where it is also believed that the soul is another soul, but retains all of the memories, etc., from the previous person that inhabit the body. What is certain here is that some souls will fight to finish their business here on earth. I got to tell you, I had never really considered this. I mean, you think about hauntings, individual hauntings, we call it poltergeisting, etc. But sometimes we assume way too much and we don't dig deep enough. And I can see. I mean, think about the woman who was cheated on. And this hurt her deeply. But in the midst, before confronting, something happens to her and she's dead, died. I think that would be a soul who would have some unfinished business. I don't know. Says a person who has experienced a walk-in do come back changed and often remember seeing the light. And remember earlier we talked about that this is part of the soul trap. And apparently in this astral realm, it's fraught with these traps. Now, I could deduct from that, it means that, well, if that's true, then maybe we do get out. But I have no idea what our purpose is on the other side, other than giving a debriefing, right? I mean, what is the purpose in this? Let's revert it. All right, most people can't figure out why they're here to begin with. So we can say that the living don't have a freaking clue. So do the dead? What's the purpose of the dead? Do the dead have a purpose? I mean, you're going to spend a long time over there, or maybe not. But there would appear to be some purpose. That was the problem I had with heaven and hell. Yeah, I could never define, well, what's the purpose of being in heaven? Exactly what am I going to do? What, is there a trade school over there? They don't have any white collar workers. Everyone works with their hands. I don't know. I mean, isn't that part of the bad trip here? Like Ryder said, why do we have to come in here and give this freaking freak job the essence of your youth, the point of our peakness, of our strength and our bodies, our minds, and we give it to something we can't see, but we're forced to do it every fucking day, day in, day out, and you're getting paid hardly what you're worth. And it gets hard to figure out how to pay the bills. You need some new clothes. You need a new car, but you can't afford it. Why? Because you are fucking trapped. Appears that's the way in on the other side, too. Anyway, we'll get into more of that one. And finally, if that is the case, There is a teaching on how you can actually exit the cave. In this case, I have one. It's a primer to the after death, the soul trap theory. And it goes like this. What if you woke up one morning, say this morning, with the crazy notion that everything you had ever been told was a lie? Everything you were taught in school, from your parents, from religion, from the television, was a form of deception. That all the system needs is for you to trust it. That you believed you were created for your best interest were all false. A calculated series of lies designed as a type of control mechanism to keep you and everyone under the spell of the wizards who control this realm. What if you found that even all the areas that seem designed to assist you, such as religion, spirituality, or self-help, were all parts of the deception as well? And what if you woke up one moment, say this moment, and realized that you, in fact, have died? That you are in the after-death realm right now? Go ahead, pinch yourself. Feel your skin, feel your arm. Now, let's help you remember. A tunnel of white light appears before you, and a loving angel or your loving grandmother are there calling you towards the light. What are you going to do? Is going to this light a blessing, or the way you get trapped further? But what if I were to tell you that there's an exit? A topic, that has had much focus for the last 10 years or so comes under the subject soul traps. And in a nutshell, is saying that non-human beings either created this realm or they control this realm and bring human souls into an artificial world construct. They do this in order to farm humans for food, using our energy mainly in the form of fear and other negative emotion and reactions to everyday life. Wow. Like the movie Monsters, Inc., it's their source. When we die, we get tricked at the key moment when we can turn away from all this by aliens disguising as beings of light or former loved ones. You know, the ones are known as the archons in the Nag Hammadi Gnostic texts. Remember? Go into the tunnel of light. That is what is you're taught. That's what you're told. Or up a staircase of light. Doing either will cause us to enter the reincarnation cycle and be back into another life in the soul farm. Wayne J. Bush. Mrs. Bush above quote gives all the information you need on the subject. And the next, in this case, we're not going to read, the next 200 pages will be an examination of the 5 sentences above. To do that, we are going to have to examine a lot of evidence about life and death. This includes what are known as the near-death experiences, concepts such as karma, reincarnation, and sin. A foundational discussion point for this book will be the allegory of Plato's cave. This is found in his book, The Republic. It is a story about a cave of prisoners being tricked into living a life of illusion. Researchers attempt to explain the analogy of Plato's cave and its exit simply. They fit their analysis into their beliefs of this world, and few question whether it is a useful analogy. Goes on to say that this book does not concern much with traps in this realm, but this book is looking for the foundation of how to get out of the cave. Wow, where the freak did time go? Okay, well, there we go. Wow. Please let me know your thoughts on this. I'll check the chat room. I hope you all have had fun in this thing. But this is a subject I think we may bring it up tomorrow with Trina and Jenny. I mean, we put it on people's tombstones. We say it when we're, you know, giving our condolences. May he rip. May he rest in peace. Now, if you examine that a little deeper, it's not saying that you're going to find peace in death. It's just saying, hey, we're over here pulling for you. Hopefully you'll rest in peace. I mean, is peace even attainable? And then they got the belief, the theology that says, well, all the dead are asleep. That's why the witch of Endor that King Saul went and seen, that was the big deal, when she conjured up Samuel and brought him back from the underworld, and he was pissed. He looked at Saul and he says, "You fool, you're going to pay for this with your own blood." And the story goes that Saul did die, but what Samuel was saying is that, why'd you do this? I come from a realm where everybody is asleep. You awoke me. Of course, now put your own mirage to that. But anyway, so yeah, deep subject. Please let me know. And if you would address how come we have to eat dead things in order to survive here? And everything has to eat something. Every kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, all the kingdoms. It's either eat or be ate. One of the two. Hey, Lost in Space, Morning Star, how are you? Mary Winds, much love to you. Hi, Gaia. Uh, much welcome. Give Paul my best, my dear. Hello, Nina. Going to be with her on the 14th with Mr. Robert V. So you're going to have to check that out. Graf, thank you. I'm just a common man, simple guy. Yeah. I just ask simple questions, and all I seek is simple answers. Sure. Hey, Rick, what's up? Good to see you, Chris. Monty, how you doing? Peter, good to see you, brother. Mark, how are you doing? All right, Bonnie. All right, everybody, much love. See you with the ladies tomorrow, but give me your thoughts on this. I'd love this to be shared with others because, one thing about it, it's like I was listening to the Monkees today, take the last train to Clarksville. I mean, we're all going to the train station. I just want to know where the hell the destination is. Your gut lives as a brain. In Emperor, there's a lot of truth there. The gut is a separate entity within itself. It has this magical metamorphosis that it can take dead shit coming into it, and it extrapolates some kind of energy out of it that then feeds our soul and feeds the body, right? Woo! You know? And mind coitus, what is that? That's just mind candy. That's all that is. You know? Hey, Deborah, good to see you. Teresa Ann. All right, everybody. Paul Joe, hello, Truth. Good to see you, Max. Everybody, have yourself a fantastic day. Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. Mystical Rock Hounding, how are you? Love lies. Well, they're actually been putting crickets and other insects. That's the new thing. I don't know. Do you know crickets can bite? I never knew that. That's a little fun fact. I didn't know that. I know this, that they'll eat carpet. All right, I digress. Everybody have a great one. See y'all tomorrow. It's been fine. Thank you. Hit the like button, feed the algorithm, and let's all live happily ever after. Sure. I don't know. I think the adventure is more fun when we all have the dips and the ups, and not just me. All right. Jules, thank you. Hearing exiting the cave. That's going to be our mission. We're going to get out of here. They can keep the cheese. Screw that. We just want out of the trap. All right, everybody. Until we meet again. Bye-bye.